The steak had gone cold almost an hour ago. I sat at the dining table, staring at the candle I had lit myself. The wax had melted unevenly, dripping down the side like it had given up halfway through. Kind of fitting. My phone sat beside my plate. Dark screen. No calls. No messages. Nothing. 7 years of marriage. 7 years with Victoria Hayes Carter. And tonight, our anniversary, my wife had forgotten again. I checked the time. 9:43 p.m. The reservation had been at 7. At 8, I told myself she was stuck in traffic. At 9, I convinced myself an emergency meeting came up. By 9:30, even my excuses sounded tired. I unlocked my phone. Still unread. Me. Happy anniversary. Dinner at 7. Don't work too late this time. Smiley face. Sent 11 hours ago. Unread. My thumb hovered over her contact. Then dropped. What exactly was I supposed to say? Hey, remember your husband still exists? A laugh almost escaped me. Almost. The apartment felt too quiet. Too expensive. Too empty. Everything around me screamed success. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Designer furniture. Perfect lighting. The kind of apartment people posted online with captions about goals and luxury. Funny how loneliness looked expensive sometimes. I stood and walked toward the kitchen. The pasta I had cooked sat untouched. Her favorite. Even after everything, I still remember details about her. Extra Parmesan. No mushrooms. Light sauce. Meanwhile, I wasn't even sure she remembered how I took my coffee anymore. 3 sugars. Too sweet. She used to tease me for it. Back when teasing still meant affection. Back when she laughed. My chest felt heavy as I opened the fridge. The anniversary cake stared back at me. Still perfect. Still untouched. Pathetic, I muttered. The word sounded ugly in the silence. But not wrong. My phone buzzed. I turned so fast my shoulder bumped the counter. Hope moved quicker than pride. Unknown excitement. Stupid excitement. Then the screen lit up. Victoria, running late. Gala tonight. Don't wait. That was it. No apology. No anniversary mention. Nothing. Just 3 cold words. Don't wait. Something inside me went strangely still. Not angry. Not shocked. Just tired. Like disappointment had gotten too familiar. I typed 3 different replies. Deleted all of them. Finally. Okay. She heart-reacted the message. That somehow hurt more. I leaned against the counter and closed my eyes. A memory slipped in without permission. My 31st birthday. 3 months ago. I had waited in the living room until midnight. Her promise still echoed in my head. I'll be home early. Promise. At 1:17 a.m., she came home carrying her laptop. Hair tied back. Heels in one hand. Eyes on emails. Oh, that had been her first word. Then a pause. Today was your birthday. Not even a question. A realization. Like remembering a meeting she forgot to attend. She ordered me a watch online while standing in the hallway. Expensive. Beautiful. Meaningless. The next morning, she left before sunrise. The gift still sat unopened in my drawer. Not because I hated it. Because opening it felt too sad. My phone buzzed again. This time from Liam. Liam, still going to the gala? I almost replied no. But staying home felt worse. Maybe seeing Victoria would remind me we still existed. Maybe tonight could still become something. Maybe I was still stupid enough to hope. Yeah, I texted back. Heading there now. The ballroom glowed with money. Gold lights. Crystal chandeliers. Champagne glasses everywhere. People smiled too hard. Laughed too loud. The kind of room where nobody admitted they were unhappy. Victoria belonged here. She always did. The Ice Queen CEO. Sharp suit. Sharp mind. Sharp enough to make entire boardrooms nervous. I spotted her near the center of the room. Black dress. Hair falling over one shoulder. Elegant. Untouchable. Beautiful in the kind of way that made people stare twice. For a second, my chest warmed. Then I noticed she wasn't alone. Daniel Reed stood beside her. Relaxed smile. Expensive watch. One hand casually resting near her shoulder while they laughed about something. Something private enough to make her smile. And that smile. God, I hadn't seen it in years. Not the polite corporate one. Not the tired fake smile. This one looked real. Soft. Easy. Like happiness wasn't exhausting. I stood there longer than I should have, invisible in a room full of people. A waiter walked by. "Champagne, sir." I grabbed one without thinking. Near the stage, someone laughed. Victoria practically married work. A few people chuckled. Another voice joined in. "Pretty sure she sleeps in the office." Someone glanced toward Daniel. Honestly, if anyone's her work husband, it's probably him. More laughter. I waited for Victoria to correct them, to mention me, her actual husband, anything. She smiled politely, took another sip of champagne, and moved on, like the joke hadn't cost me anything. Something cracked quietly inside me. Not dramatic, not loud, just small, like a thread snapping after being pulled too many times. Daniel finally noticed me. "Oh, Ethan," that surprised expression hit harder than it should have. Like my presence didn't make sense. Victoria turned. For half a second, guilt crossed her face. Then professionalism took over. "You came. Not happy anniversary. No, I'm sorry. Just, you came. I figured I should see my wife today." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her jaw tightened slightly. Daniel shifted awkwardly. "I'll give you guys a minute." Victoria crossed her arms. "You know tonight's important." So was today. A pause. Her phone buzzed. She checked it instantly. "Of course. Can we not do this here?" There it was. The usual answer. "Later. Tomorrow. Eventually. Whenever my feelings became convenient." "You're right," I said quietly. Something about my voice made her glance up. Really glance up. "You okay?" Such a small question. Strange how badly I wanted to laugh. "You haven't asked me that in a long time." Her lips parted. Then someone called her name across the room. A board member. Urgent. Important. Always important. Victoria hesitated. "I have to. I know." The words came too easily. Because I always knew. Work first. Me later. Maybe never. I left before she could stop me. Not that she tried. The apartment felt colder when I got back. The candle had burned out. Dinner untouched. The wine unopened. I loosened my tie and stopped near the bookshelf. Our wedding photo sat crooked. Dust on the frame. Face down. I frowned. Picked it up slowly. Must have fallen. Or maybe someone moved it while cleaning. Still, the image hit harder than expected. Victoria's smiling at me. Actually smiling. Hand wrapped around mine. Like love had once been easy. I carried the frame to the table. My phone buzzed. Nothing from Victoria. No apology. No "where did you go?" No anniversary text. Just emails. Spam. Promotions. Then one subject line caught my eye. "Hospital reminder. Follow-up test results available." I froze. Right. The appointment. The chest pain from last month. The doctor wanting more tests. Stress. Heart concerns. I had told Victoria. At least I thought I did. Maybe she forgot. Or maybe she never heard me while answering emails. I opened the message. My hands felt strangely cold. And suddenly one question sat heavily inside me. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just painfully honest. What happens if I stop staying? What if one day I simply leave and nobody notices? Mr. Carter, stress does not always look dangerous until it becomes dangerous. The doctor slid the test results across the desk. Gray hair. Calm voice. The kind of calm that somehow made bad news feel heavier. My fingers stayed still on the folder. "Your heart is okay for now," he continued, tapping the paper lightly. "But these numbers, they concern me." I forced out a small laugh. "So I'm not dying?" "No." A pause. "But your body is struggling." The room suddenly felt too bright. Too quiet. "You've been under long-term stress." He leaned back in his chair. Poor sleep. Anxiety. Emotional pressure. Funny. He talked about my marriage without even knowing I was married. "Have you been taking care of yourself?" The question sat there. Simple. Embarrassing. I thought about cold dinners. Unread messages. Waiting for someone who barely noticed I was gone. "No," I admitted quietly. The doctor folded his hands. "You need real rest. Lower stress. Better habits." Then his voice softened. "And whatever is hurting you, you need distance from it." Distance. That word followed me all the way home. Victoria wasn't there. Of course. The apartment looked exactly the same. Perfect. Cold. Like nobody actually lived inside it. Her coffee mug sat near the sink. mine still beside the machine. 3 days old, untouched. I stood in the middle of the living room and realized something ugly. Nothing in this apartment felt shared anymore. Not really. It was her office, her schedule, her rules. I had just become furniture. Useful, quiet, easy to ignore. My phone buzzed. Victoria, board meetings all week. Might be home late. I stared at the message. No mention of the anniversary. No mention of the gala. No mention of me leaving halfway through. Just business. Always business. My thumb hovered over the screen, then stopped. No explanation. No argument. I suddenly felt too tired for another disappointing conversation. Okay, I typed. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, thanks for understanding. I almost laughed. Understanding. That word had carried this marriage for years. Mostly from my side. I understood missed birthdays, canceled trips, cold dinners, forgotten promises. Meanwhile, she understood deadlines. Nothing else. The doctor's folder stayed on the kitchen counter. I opened it again. Highlighted words jumped out at me. Stress-related cardiac concerns. Lifestyle changes required. Immediate reduction in emotional strain recommended. Emotional strain. Such a clean way to describe slowly disappearing inside your own marriage. I grabbed my jacket and drove to Liam's place. He opened the door with a beer in one hand. You look terrible. Nice to see you too. His expression changed fast. No jokes. No teasing. Just concern. What happened? 20 minutes later, we sat in his kitchen. Medical papers spread between us. Liam rubbed his jaw. You serious? Apparently. He leaned back hard in his chair. So what now? I didn't answer right away. The truth felt too big, too final. Then the words slipped out before fear could stop them. I think I'm done. His eyebrows lifted. With Victoria? A nod. The room stayed quiet for a moment. You sure? No. Honest answer. Painfully honest. But staying hurts more than leaving. Liam lowered his beer. That bad. I let out a slow breath. You know what's messed up? My hands wrapped around the coffee mug. She forgot our anniversary. His face darkened. Again, at the gala someone joked she married work. A bitter laugh escaped me. She didn't even correct them. Liam cursed under his breath. Ethan, no screaming fights, I muttered. No cheating. No giant disaster. The words came slower. Just years of being invisible. Something in his expression softened. You can't survive on crumbs forever. That line stayed with me. Crumbs. That was exactly what it felt like. Waiting weeks for tiny moments of affection. A smile. A text. A dinner together. Tiny pieces that used to feel enough. Until they weren't. You can stay here, Liam offered. As long as I need. As long as it takes. 3 days later, Victoria still hadn't come home. 3 days. Not one call. Not one question. No how are you? No why did you leave the gala? Nothing. Just work updates. Schedules. Business. The apartment became painfully quiet. Almost peaceful. That scared me. Because peace shouldn't feel unfamiliar in marriage. Friday night, I pulled an old suitcase from the closet. Dust covered the top. Victoria used to joke that I packed too much for vacations. Funny, we stopped taking vacations years ago. Work emergencies always happened. I folded shirts slowly. Jeans, sweaters, medicine, laptop. The apartment echoed around me. No dramatic music, no crying, no shouting, just zippers closing, hangers scraping, quiet, heavy quiet. Halfway through packing, my hand brushed the framed wedding photo. Still face down. I picked it up again. Younger versions of us smiled back. Hope look good on us. I placed it carefully on the dresser. Not packed, not thrown away, just left there. My fingers touched my wedding ring. I froze. 7 years. 7 years wearing this thing. Even during the bad times. Especially during the bad times. Like if I kept holding on, eventually she would come back to me. Slowly, I twisted it off. The pale line underneath hit harder than expected. I set it beside the photo. The room suddenly felt unfamiliar. Like something important had ended quietly. No audience. No dramatic goodbye. Just me. Standing alone. Trying not to fall apart. The lawyer emailed the separation papers around midnight. I read them 3 times. Hands cold. Mind racing. Then signed. Not divorce. Not yet. Separation. Space. A final chance to breathe. I placed the papers neatly on the kitchen counter, right beside her coffee mug. Easy to see. Impossible to ignore. Then came the hardest part. Her contact. My thumb hovered over her name for almost an hour. Victoria Redheart. The heart felt embarrassing now. Our messages stretched for pages. Mostly mine. Are you eating? Drive safe. Miss you. Want dinner tonight? Long gaps between her replies. One-word answers. Business updates. Late-night apologies. Promises. Always promises. I scrolled upward. Years of trying stared back at me. My throat tightened. Maybe tomorrow she would notice. Maybe she would call. Maybe. No. That thinking had trapped me too long. I pressed delete. The screen asked one question. Delete contact? My thumb shook. Then, yes. Gone. The apartment suddenly felt larger. Emptier. Sadder. But strangely honest. At sunrise, I grabbed a suitcase. Paused near the door. Waited. For what? A text? A miracle? The sound of her key turning? Nothing. Just quiet. I left without a goodbye. 3 days later, Victoria finally came home. At first, she barely noticed. Her heels clicked across the floor. Laptop bag over one shoulder. Phone pressed against her ear. Yes, move the meeting to Tuesday. She dropped her keys. Walked into the kitchen. Stopped. The untouched coffee mugs. One dusty. One clean. No dishes in the sink. No music. No movement. Her voice sharpened. Ethan, nothing. She checked the bedroom. Closet half empty. Bathroom missing half the things. Suitcase gone. A wrinkle formed between her brows. Confusion. Then irritation. Her phone came out fast. Call. Straight to voicemail. Another call. Nothing. A text. Where are you? No answer. 10 minutes later, frustration started cracking around the edges. She walked back into the kitchen. Saw the papers. Stopped breathing for a second. Hands trembling slightly as she picked them up. Separation agreement. Her eyes moved faster. Then slower. Then back again. No. The word barely came out. She sat down. Staring. Thinking. Trying to remember. The last dinner. The last conversation. The last real moment between us. Her expression changed. Small. Uncertain. Like she suddenly realized she couldn't remember. Not really. Hours later, while searching for answers, she opened my desk drawer. Medical papers. Hospital results. Highlighted words. Heart concerns. Stress complications. Follow-up appointments. Missed emergency contact forms. Her name listed. Untouched. Unread. The paper slipped slightly in her hand. Ethan. My name came out quietly. Not angry. Not cold. Afraid. The first week without Victoria felt wrong. Too quiet. Too slow. Like my body still expected disappointment to walk through the door. Every morning, my hand reached for my phone before I even opened my eyes. Habit. 7 years of habit. Then reality caught up. No good morning text. No late night apology. No wondering if she would come home. Just space. And somehow, space hurt before healed. Liam tossed a towel at me one morning. You gonna stare at the ceiling forever? I rubbed my face. Thinking. You've been thinking for 2 weeks. He pointed toward the front door. Gym. Shower. Fresh air. I'm not dying. No, he muttered, grabbing his keys. But you sure look committed to suffering. That annoyed me enough to move. Which, honestly, was probably his plan. The gym nearly killed me. Or maybe my pride did. 10 minutes on the treadmill, and my lungs felt offended. Liam looked way too comfortable beside me. You used to play basketball, he reminded me. Back when happiness existed. He snorted. Drama queen. Still, something changed that day. Small, but real. For the first time in months, I slept without waiting for a door to open. No checking the clock. No listening for keys. No replaying disappointment in my head. Just sleep. Messy. Heavy. Honest sleep. 2 weeks later, I sat in the hospital waiting room again. Follow-up appointment. Heart check. Stress evaluation. The word stress still felt ridiculous. Like heartbreak had somehow turned medical. A nurse stepped into the room holding a clipboard. Ethan Carter. I stood. She smiled warmly. Not fake polite. Not rushed. Just kind. This way. Her name tag read Claire Bennett. Brown hair, tied loosely back. Calm eyes. Comfortable smile. The kind that made people breathe easier without trying. You hate hospitals too? She asked while walking. What gave it away? You looked ready to escape through the window. A laugh slipped out before I could stop it. That obvious? A little. She glanced over her shoulder. No judgment. Most people here look terrified. I'm mostly annoyed. With hospitals, with life. The word surprised me. Hearing them out loud felt strange. Claire slowed near the office door. That sounds heavier than hospital anxiety. I almost brushed it off. Almost. Then she tilted her head slightly. Patient. No pressure. Funny how kindness catches people off guard when they've gone too long without it. Marriage stuff. A small nod. Ah, no awkward pity. No fake sympathy. Just understanding. That explains the tired eyes. I laughed again. Actually laughed. God, when was the last time that happened? Do I look that bad? You look exhausted. She handed me a clipboard. But exhausted can be fixed. Those words stayed with me longer than they should have. Meanwhile, my phone stayed face down. 3 missed calls. Unknown number. Voicemail notifications. Texts. I ignored them. At first, guilt hit hard. What if Victoria was worried? What if something happened? Then another thought followed. Did she worry all those nights I sat alone waiting? Did she notice my silence before I left? No. She noticed absence. There was a difference. Weeks passed. Therapy became part of my routine. Something I never thought I'd do. At first, sitting across from a stranger, talking about feelings felt embarrassing. Then one session changed something. Why did you stay so long? The therapist waited. No judgment. No rush. I stared at the floor. Because I loved her. And the question lingered. I kept thinking if I loved her enough, eventually she'd come back. The room stayed quiet. Not uncomfortable. Just honest. What if she already showed you who she was? That one hurt. Because deep down, I already knew. Claire started appearing more often. Coffee after appointments. Short conversations. Nothing dramatic. Nothing complicated. Just easy. One rainy afternoon, she slid a coffee toward me. No sugar. You remembered? A shrug. You mentioned it once. 3 sugars. Too sweet. Such a tiny detail. Still, something inside me shifted. Because Victoria used to remember too. Years ago, Claire stirred her drink. You thinking too hard again? Always. Dangerous hobby. A smile pulled at my mouth. You always this nice? No. She leaned back. You just look like someone who forgot people can be nice. That landed harder than expected. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Maybe she already knew. Across town, memories started catching up to Victoria. At least, that's what Liam told me after accidentally answering one of her calls. She sounds rough. I stayed quiet. He leaned against the kitchen counter. You really not going to talk to her? Not yet. She asked if you're safe. The words twisted somewhere uncomfortable. Are you? A slow breath. Safer than before. That answer surprised even me. More weeks passed. The unknown call slowed. Then started again. Voicemails piled up. I never listened. Until one night curiosity won. Victoria's voice came through quietly. Ethan. A pause. Heavy breathing. I found the hospital papers. Her voice cracked slightly. You should have told me. I almost laughed at that. Told her? How? Between meetings? Unread texts? Missed dinners? Another voicemail. I found the anniversary watch. Long pause. It's still unopened. My stomach dropped. Right? The birthday gift. She found that too. Then another message. Soft. Smaller somehow. I didn't know things were this bad. The phone stayed in my hand long after it ended. Because part of me wanted to call back. Part of me still missed her. Love doesn't disappear just because someone hurts you. That's the cruel part. Then came the twist I never expected. Liam walked into the apartment, holding papers. You know, Victoria's company almost collapsed 4 years ago. I frowned. Yeah. He dropped a folder onto the table. She found out who covered the missing debt. Confusion settled fast. How do you know that? She called. His expression shifted. Apparently, she found documents. A pause. Your motorcycle. I froze. The old Harley. Dad's Harley. The only thing he left me. Sold 4 years ago. Quietly. Secretly. to help cover emergency losses at her company. She never knew, never asked where the money came from. I told her I just handled it. Liam crossed his arms. She cried. That word felt strange attached to Victoria. She didn't sound angry, he added. Sounded wrecked. I stared at the table, hands unmoving, because suddenly I knew. She was finally seeing the whole picture. All the invisible things. All the ways I stayed. A week later, Claire and I stood outside a small cafe. Cold wind, warm coffee, simple conversation. Nothing forced, nothing painful. You smile more now, she noticed. Do I? Little bit. She bumped my shoulder lightly. Looks good on you. And for the first time in years, smiling didn't feel fake. Then movement across the street caught my eye. A black car, parked too long, too still. The door opened slowly. Victoria stepped out, her face pale, eyes tired, and there she stood, watching me smile beside another woman. Victoria looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, something else. Like certainty had finally left her. Rain hit the sidewalk in soft waves while Claire stood beside me, quietly reading the change in my face. You know her? Her voice stayed gentle. No pressure, no assumptions. A slow breath escaped me. My wife. Claire blinked once, then twice. Oh, the word carried surprise, but not judgment. You want me to go? Part of me almost said yes. Part of me wanted more time, more distance, more healing before this moment happened. But running suddenly felt childish. No, I muttered. You don't have to. Victoria stood across the street, like she wasn't sure she deserved to move closer. Her coat looked soaked, hair messy from the rain. No assistant, no driver standing nearby, no sharp CEO energy, just tired eyes. Claire touched my arm lightly. I'll grab another coffee. You don't have to disappear. A small smile. I'm not disappearing. She nodded toward the cafe, just giving breathing room. Then she walked inside, and suddenly, there was nowhere left to hide. Victoria crossed the street slowly. Each step looked uncertain, careful, like she expected me to vanish if she moved too fast. You found me. My voice sounded calmer than I expected. She stopped a few feet away. You deleted everything. A pause. I had to search through old insurance forms to find Liam. Rain slipped down her face. Or maybe tears. Hard to tell. Neither of us moved. Neither of us knew how. You look, she stopped herself. Healthier. The unfinished sentence still landed. You don't. That slipped out before I could stop it. A weak laugh escaped her. Yeah. The sound disappeared quickly. Neither of us used to struggle with silence. Now silence felt crowded. Heavy. Awkward. I didn't know about the hospital. Her fingers tightened around her coat. Those papers. I looked toward the street. You were busy. No. The answer came too quickly. Don't do that. Her voice cracked slightly. Don't make excuses for me. That caught me off guard. Because excuses had always been my job. I should have known, she continued quietly. I should have noticed. But you didn't. The truth sat there between us. Simple. Sharp. She lowered her gaze. No. Rain tapped softly against the pavement. Cars passed. People hurried by. Nobody noticed the marriage quietly falling apart beside the cafe. Victoria swallowed hard. I'm sorry. The words sounded honest. Painfully honest. But something strange happened. They didn't fix anything. Because apologies sounded small compared to 7 years. 7 birthdays. 7 anniversaries. Thousands of tiny moments. I know. Her eyes lifted quickly. You know, I believe you mean it. A pause. That doesn't make it hurt less. Something in her expression cracked. Not dramatic. Just tired. Like she had finally run out of ways to stay emotionally guarded. I thought I was taking care of us. Her voice turned smaller. Money. Stability. Security. She rubbed her hands together nervously. My mother always said love doesn't matter if survival falls apart. The mention of Margaret made too much sense. Victoria grew up in cold rooms. Expensive rooms. Rooms where emotions got ignored. Achievement mattered. Feelings slowed people down. Your mother taught you love was practical, I muttered. She taught me needing people was weakness. That one hurt, because suddenly I saw it clearly. Victoria wasn't cruel. She was scared. Scared people leave. Scared vulnerability makes people weak. Scared caring too much gives someone power over you. So she built walls. And somewhere along the way, I got trapped outside them. You love me the only way you knew how, I admitted. Her eyes watered immediately. But it wasn't enough. The honesty nearly broke both of us. Because understanding pain doesn't erase it. You stopped trying, she whispered. I almost laughed. Stop trying? Years flashed through my head. Cold dinners. Texts ignored. Canceled weekends. Anniversaries forgotten. I kept trying, I said quietly. For years. Her face dropped. Then something else surfaced. Shame. I found the voice messages. The words came shaky. My stomach turned. Voice messages. God. Those late nights. Me trying. Begging. Holding us together alone. Her voice broke again. You sounded lonely. I stared at the wet sidewalk. Because I was. A long pause followed. Then, I checked your side of the bed every night. I looked up. She laughed weakly through tears. Stupid, right? Rain dripped from her coat. I'd wake up and reach over. Her hand moved slightly. Instinctive. Like she still remembered. Every night, it was empty. The confession landed somewhere dangerous inside me. Because part of me still loved her. Still remembered good moments. Coffee on Sunday mornings. Movie nights years ago. Her hand reaching for mine in elevators. Small things. Gone things. You should hate me. Her voice barely held together. Maybe. A painful smile crossed my face. But I don't. That somehow hurt her more. Because anger would have been easier. Anger ends things. Love complicates them. Her hand slipped in her coat pocket. Slowly, she pulled something out. My wedding ring. The silver looked dull in the rain. I kept this. She held it carefully. Like something fragile. I thought maybe. Her voice disappeared. Maybe what? Did I come home? That we could rewind 7 years? My fingers stayed still. Didn't reach for it. Couldn't. You don't have to decide anything now, she whispered quickly. She stopped. Looked away. Breathing uneven. I miss you. The words came so quietly I almost missed them. Then her phone buzzed. Daniel's name flashed across the screen. Her face changed instantly. Cold. Frustrated. Tired. She declined the call. Again and again. Then sighed. You know what's funny? Her laugh sounded bitter. He kept telling me you were too emotional. My jaw tightened. What? He told me distance was normal. Her expression darkened. Said relationships survive if people stop needing attention. Rain hit harder. He made me think work had to come first. The pieces clicked together. Daniel. Always around. Always encouraging longer hours. Always keeping her busy. Busy people don't question loneliness. Company auditors found things, she continued. Money problems. A humorless smile touched her face. Turns out Daniel benefited every time I ignored my personal life. The betrayal finally caught up to her. Public. Ugly. Messy. And suddenly the woman who controlled everything looked lost. The rain soaked through both of us. Neither moved. Neither wanted this conversation to end. Or maybe neither knew how. Her eyes turned red again. Small. Fragile. Nothing like the ice queen everyone feared. Then quietly, almost like she was scared of the answer. Did you ever stop loving me? Rain rolled down Victoria's face while her question stayed between us. Did you ever stop loving me? The world felt strangely quiet after that. Cars moved. People rushed past us. Coffee cups clinked somewhere behind the cafe window. Still, everything narrowed into that one moment. Because the truth was painful. And simple. No. Her breath caught. A tiny sound. Hope. Fear. Maybe both. No. I repeated quietly. I never stopped loving you. Her eyes filled instantly. Then I finished the sentence. I just stopped surviving inside our marriage. Something inside her broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just slowly. Like glass finally giving up after years of pressure. The wedding ring stayed in her shaking hand. You could have told me, she whispered. The words almost made me angry. Almost. But anger felt exhausting now. I tried. My voice stayed calm. Too calm. Phone calls. Unread messages. Canceled dinners. I swallowed hard. Anniversaries. Her lips parted slightly. Then closed again. No defense came. No excuses. Just pain. I know. Rain soaked through my jacket. Neither of us moved. Because some conversations deserve stillness. You know what hurt the most? Her fingers tightened around the ring. What? Loving someone who stopped noticing I was disappearing. That landed. Hard. Her shoulders folded inward, eyes dropping to the pavement. I noticed when you left. The sentence sounded fragile. I know. The honesty almost hurt more than anger. By then, I muttered softly. I was already gone. Her breathing turned uneven. Not crying. Trying not to cry. Big difference. I was scared all the time. She laughed weakly. Scared of failing. Rainwater slipped from her hair. Scared of losing everything I worked for. Her voice lowered. My mother always told me love makes people weak. I remembered Margaret too well. Sharp words. Cold smiles. The woman treated affection like failure. Victoria rubbed her hands together nervously. So I worked. A bitter laugh escaped her. I thought if I gave us security, expensive things, stability, her eyes met mine. That counted as love. The truth hurt because part of me understood. She had loved me. Just badly. Poorly. Like someone tried to speak a language they never learned. You did love me, I admitted. Her face lifted slightly. But it wasn't the love I needed. That hope disappeared again. Quietly. No argument. No pleading. Just acceptance settling in. I don't blame you for everything, I continued. You were trying. A pause. In your own way. Rain softened around us. The city blurred into gray. But trying doesn't erase damage. Her shoulders dropped. I know. The words came smaller this time. I know. For once, she didn't fight reality. Didn't hide behind work. Didn't defend herself. She just stood there and let the truth exist. And somehow, that hurt more. Weeks passed after that. We talked sometimes. Short conversations. Careful ones. Not about fixing things. Not about going back. Just honesty. The kind we should have had years ago. Victoria stopped pretending everything was fine. Work scandals started spreading too. Daniel's name ended up in headlines. Financial misconduct. Manipulation. Internal investigations. Turns out he had been moving company resources quietly for years. He benefited every time Victoria buried herself deeper into work. Because distracted people ask fewer questions. The company board removed him publicly. Messy. Embarrassing. Brutal. Victoria once ruled every room she entered. Now reporters followed her around, asking uncomfortable questions. Her perfect image cracked. Not destroyed. Just human now. Meanwhile, loneliness finally reached her. Not dramatic loneliness. Quiet loneliness. The kind that waits in empty apartments. Cold dinners. One coffee mug instead of two. Liam visited me one afternoon. She called again. I leaned back on a couch. How is she? Tired. He hesitated. She sounds different. I already knew. Loss changes people. Sometimes too late. She still checks on your health. A weak laugh escaped me. That's ironic. She found your therapy bills. He scratched his jaw. Apparently, she started going too. That surprised me. Victoria hated vulnerability. Hated admitting weakness. Maybe pain finally taught what love couldn't. 3 months later, I agreed to meet her one last time. Our old apartment. The place that once felt like a museum of disappointment. The city skyline still stretched through the windows. Beautiful. Cold. Familiar. Victoria stood near the kitchen counter. No laptop. No phone in her hand. Just nervous energy. You kept it clean, I muttered. A small smile crossed her face. You always hated clutter. Funny. She remembered now. Tiny details. Too late. Dinner sat untouched on the table. Pasta. Extra Parmesan. No mushrooms. My favorite. My chest shifted strangely. You remembered. Her fingers wrapped tightly around a mug. I'm trying to remember everything. The sadness inside, those words nearly pulled me backward. Nearly. I found something. She disappeared briefly into the bedroom. Returned holding the old wedding photo. The same one that had fallen face down. Thus clean away now. Our younger selves smiled from inside the frame. Hope looked beautiful on us. Victoria held it carefully. I almost threw this away once. A pause. But I couldn't. She offered it to me. My hand stayed still. No. Confusion crossed her face. You don't want it? A slow breath. No. The answer surprised both of us. Keep it. Her expression shifted. Pain, understanding, closure. You really aren't coming home. The sentence barely made it out. Because she already knew. I think home stopped existing for us a long time ago. Her eyes reddened. No argument. No begging. Just truth. And strangely, truth felt kinder than false hope. I'm sorry, she whispered. Not desperate. Not dramatic. Just real. For all of it. I nodded slowly. I know. Then something softened inside me. Not reconciliation. Not romance. Peace. You love me the best way you knew how. Her lips trembled slightly. But I needed more than survival. A tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. Thank you. I continued quietly. For trying. That finally broke her. Not crying. Not collapsing. Just standing there unable to speak. Because gratitude hurt more than blame. Blame leaves room for fighting. Peace ends things. I reached into my pocket. Pulled out my phone. One message already typed. Months ago. Never sent. Simple. Short. I hope one day you forgive yourself. I placed the phone face down on the counter. Unread. Unsent. Some words arrive too late. Some love leaves quietly. At the door, I paused. The city lights glowed behind her. Wedding photo still in her hands. Apartment too large for one person. You deserved better than me. Her voice cracked. I shook my head gently. No. A sad smile touched my face. We both deserved better timing. Then I walked away. No anger. No revenge. No dramatic ending. Just peace. Months later, life looked different. Morning runs. Therapy. Better sleep. Real laughter. Claire stayed around too. Slowly. Carefully. Nothing rushed. No promises. Just warmth. The kind that feels safe. Sometimes I still thought about Victoria. Love doesn't disappear overnight. But pain stopped living beside it. One evening, Liam tossed me my car keys. You smiling again? A small laugh escaped me. Trying. He nodded. Looks good on you. And maybe he was right. Because healing didn't feel loud. It felt ordinary. Quiet mornings. Breathing easier. Choosing myself. Somewhere across the city, Victoria kept one unread message she would never answer. Not because she stopped caring. Because she finally understood. Some losses arrive quietly. And sometimes the loudest heartbreak comes long after the goodbye. For years, I begged to be seen. The day she finally looked at me, I'd already learned how to walk away.